What's up, guys? Welcome back to Games on Deck, and we're going to take a look at Monster Hunter Rise here on the Steam Deck. Now, this is specifically on the Steam Deck OLED, and I'll show some HDR gameplay towards the end of the video. And of course, you can take advantage of the 90 Hz screen in handheld mode and really enjoy the higher frame rate. The LCD will run the game just the same, basically, but of course, you got the 60 Hz screen. Now, we are with 1280 by 800 low for our settings to start with here. I'm not customizing any of the settings. I'm using the low and average preset. I did test the game on high, and it took me down to the 40s in a lot of areas, and I wasn't really wanting to go there. But on low, the game, it looks okay. Definitely bumping up to average I think is worth it, which you'll see later. But if you want that highest frame rate you can get, or if you're wanting to get close to locking 90 in some areas, this is probably the way that you want to go with running the game. Even when you get out into the world and you're going around and fighting, working on your quest, frame rate still stays up pretty good. Now, I know I'm still in the beginning here as I'm doing a new playthrough on PC, so different areas that you eventually unlock in your hunting more monsters could affect performance somewhat, but for the most part with these low settings, I've seen 80 to 120 FPS pretty consistently. With on the OLED, when I'm playing in handheld, I'm able to pretty much just lock the thing down to 90 FPS or 90 Hertz, and it may dip from time to time, but for the most part I'm able to do that. But like I said, though, the game looks okay on low, but the checkerboard look and the textures and stuff just don't look that great when I go and I compare it to average from low. The game just looks so much better on average. Now, I know there's some individual settings you could tweak, like if you went to low and you want to go in and up the textures and things like that to make the game look better, still run a little bit better, but rather than customize, I just kept things easy here with low and average. But yeah, the game looks great on average. Of course, you lose what we lost about 50 FPS, 45 FPS in town there, and you'll see out here we're not going to be running up in the 90s or 100, but we are still holding well above 60 FPS on average with this. So I just think by the way the game looks and by the performance and all that, and if you're wanting to play above 60 FPS, the average works really well. If you're hungry for FPS though, which in this game I don't think is near as important, you can certainly make some changes and get towards low and get the higher FPS. But Monster Hunter Rise running fantastic on both my Steam Decks, the LCD and the OLED. Of course, I prefer it over on the OLED with the higher FPS when I'm playing in handheld, which is most of the time for me, and that kind of thing. Monster Hunter World, which was my last video here as well, is just another great example of some great performance on some of these games on both the Steam Decks. And both of these games, I love them. I'm big Monster Hunter fans. So the fact that I can play both games while waiting for the next ones is really great. And like I said, this will take advantage of HDR if you're on the Steam Deck OLED. And I think the game looks fantastic. We're on average here with HDR turned on. And this is one of those games that looks really good on the Steam Deck when you're using HDR. Be it in town or you're out questing or expeditioning or whatever you may be doing. Yeah, the peak brightness and the contrast, this game and the Steam Deck both seem to handle the HDR quite well. I'm not a big fan of HDR in PC gaming. We've had a lot of struggles with Windows and gaming monitors and HDR over the past 5 to 10 years, but the Steam Deck has done a great job implementing HDR for PC games on the handheld here with the HDR OLED screen. It's been really impressive since I got this a couple of months ago. But anyways, guys, thanks a lot for coming to check out the video. As always, I really appreciate it. I'll see you in the next one.